And
Hey,
here we
we're
are,
live.
back again.
Hey, and I see us on Twitch, so that means the whole thing is working.
Whoa, we did it. We knew how to use technology. Yep. I don't see us
Yeah,
on Twitch, but I definitely hear us.
yeah. I saw it load, so we're there. Hey y'all.
Hi, Twitch.
It's been an interesting morning finding all these little things that this platform can do, and sort of setting up the rest of the socials.
And
Head to
every day is a
Facebook.
challenge of like, which part of this do we pay attention to today?
Oh, dude. And there's so many, right? Like, it's unfortunate. I've completely abandoned Telegram. I tried to care, but I completely abandoned it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know it's where so many people are, and it's where so many Web3 people and Web3 gamers. But I just can't care about another chat platform.
Well, I think we can stream there.
Oh, I'm sure we can.
We can do
I'm,
that.
I'm
We don't have to care, but we can do that.
man, like,
You can't be everywhere, right?
you can't be everywhere, and that's been the theme of this week for me. Is that, like, I can't be everywhere. I just have to kind of keep my head down on one or two things. Oh my god, live journal. Yeah, I'll get right on that as soon as I build out our GeoCities page.
That's good.
Uh, we should honestly just bring Taco in here. I don't know why he's not.
He can join. He has the link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going
So
on, man?
what's
Like,
going
what do
on?
you, dude? Just
So playing around with a lot of design stuff. Looking at a lot of comps. And yeah, I mean, and writing things down in some coherent fashion. Um,
yeah.
I've also, and you haven't seen any of this, but I've also been playing around with like really like 500,000 word short stories just
Wow.
to get in the habit of writing that small. Um, but I haven't shared any of.
Well,
They're
because
they're all kind of monstrous at this point, but
that's probably the size of an average quest line, right? Like, when
exactly,
it comes to actual
exactly
written content,
right. And I can be wordy sometimes, so
you can.
I yeah. Well, so it's just teaching it. It's an exercise of teaching the muscle, right? To short, sweet, concise.
Yeah,
Um,
just
and
one
yeah,
action, right?
that's been it. I mean, we're real world stuff, blah blah blah. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's really been it. For me is just finally really circling around on the whole game design side of this.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, I'd love to see some of that stuff. And actually, we have in our community, we have a guild of short story writers. So I would think about targeting them, the
It's not a
syndicate,
bad idea.
and just being like, what can you do? What powers do you have here?
Give them a
Um,
writing prompt and see what happens.
yeah, I mean, it's worth it, right? It would help both communities. So it might be an idea. Bones, reach out to me. Yeah. Other than that, man, I've just been, heads down, working on the sales site, trying to get my head wrapped around the fact that we're actually going to sell something. That's pretty nice.
We're
Uh,
we're looking at next week, right?
yeah, next week for opening, yeah, something like that. About the same time as we do the trailer reveal. Saw the final of that, and it's great. Um, it looks really polished at this point, and I'm pretty happy with it.
Wait, did you say the final trailer?
The final trailer, the final countdown.
That one?
That one, yeah, that one. No notes. We are we're looking really good on that side. Elliot George, they killed it, and I couldn't ask for something better for a way too early trailer.
Yeah, the way too early trailer. Yep.
Yeah,
So we do have a couple of things to show off here. We had our first attempt at making a short fuse version of a Fuzzle.
yeah,
You guys want to
that
see it?
was.
It's
I,
cute.
I think we should definitely share that.
All right. Obviously it's still in the modeling program, but isn't it cute? We have to figure out what to do for the furry side of it.
Yeah,
But so this is a naked Fuzzle. How's that?
you know what, man? Like, I've said this before. Like with voxel, you can go down as low as you want. You can go molecular with it, so we can absolutely have hair.
Absolutely.
You're just gonna have to render 10,000 voxels to make it look right.
There's other ways.
Your draw count's gonna be 72,000 just for a head.
And one of the things that we were talking about this morning, and I would love to hear what the community has to think. So our initial thought with the Fuzzles was obviously to use them for NPCs, but we also were like thinking about like, can they be player characters? And if we do that, does that open the door for other franchises out there that and allow those people to also be player characters? Obviously, all following the same rules and stuff under the covers, and of course, the ones we sell will have stat boosts and stuff because we're cooler. But I would love to hear if you guys think that's a cool idea, or if you're like, no, that kind of breaks our universe, or what.
Well, I'll tell you what the Fuzzles community said.
Oh,
They
cool.
they want them as companions.
They want them as companions. Okay.
Companions, player characters, and NPCs. I asked this poll, and 37% of the community wanted them as companions. I should say 37% of the population who voted.
Okay.
So, companion pet system might be in a realm. NPCs still very much yes. Anywhere where we could really utilize their memory is just going to be so much power to us.
Okay. Because there's another one that we were talking about. I don't want to mention yet, but I mean, you look at them and I'm like, I just want to use them as bad guys.
Yeah,
I'm like, they're so perfect. But
I mean, I think it harkens back to Ninja Turtles esque bad guys.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So yes, for those of you who don't know, we are constantly looking at Web3 projects and who could we possibly bring in under the fold or just kind of invite to our community. So if you know some NFT projects, if you know some owners of those things, hit us up. Send us a link. Send us their Discord. That's where I kind of get my vibes from. Is I'll typically join a Discord and just see how active it is and how positive it is because we really only want positivity. I need more positivity in my life.
Well, I know which community we won't use then.
Ooh, come.
All right, let's see.
We'll
What
twist the knife there.
uh,
Oh my god.
so
Okay.
here we go.
How do you want to get into this? This is some industry bullshit that's going on this week.
How do I want to start this? All right. So before I start this, one of the companies that I'm going to talk about is I love them. Right. This isn't really about them. They're just the example. So earlier this week, Respawn Entertainment laid off, 150, 200 people and canceled 2 projects. And, of course, the projects were not a Star Wars project or a, Lord of the Rings project. They were an original IP project. And who knows what the other one was, probably also an original IP. these kind of things to me are like the infuriating part of our industry. It's like these guys got together. These are the same group of dudes that made the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare, right? Revolutionized the modern military shooter.
Yeah, real
Uh,
quick, if you don't know Respawn Media, they are the ones Apex Legends,
and the
Titanfall 2, Medal of Honor, Star Wars Jedi. They've made some huge games and they've made tons of money, buckets of money, especially Apex.
right, yeah, and two huge Star Wars hits,
Yeah,
right? Jedi Survivor games did made bucket loads. Um, and you would think that the contract what it should be is we gave you a bunch of hits, you give us the ability to roll with a couple of original IPs,
yeah.
right? And what it usually ends up happening in our industry is, hey, thanks for those couple of hits. You're now going to do those hits until the end of time, and you're never going to do an original IP again. Sort of missing the whole point of why you should like invest and buy a game company, right? Like you're buying that top shelf talent that gave you, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, for example, and don't you want to see what else is going to come out of those guys? Wouldn't that be the smart play? And and that contract, every time I see a publisher take over a game company, the inevitable end is this, right? And when I was at Looking Glass, the publisher just decided not to buy us and just wanted our IP, right? So they just let us go out of business and then bought the IP at fire sale, right? Publishers are just not our friends, man. And I just been watching this over and over again, and I don't know why the Respawn thing this week like hit me. Like this is the like only the latest in 100 layoffs, but it's like I everything is always about this short-term gain and not the long-term vision. And who knows what that other IP was that they were working on? That could have been the greatest IP of all time, right? Done by a bunch of
I mean,
talented
look,
dudes, and we will never know. We'll never know.
yeah, it's Respawn. It was probably going to be amazing. Like if they took it from the initial design phase and started building it, it was going to be good. Like I have enough faith in those guys to know that it was going to be awesome
Which
and just cut.
now brings me to my second conversation piece, which is should we just like as game designers and publish and producers and art people and music people and whatnot, should we just start looking at our industry as a gig economy instead of looking for a studio to go work for and then you live there for 2 years and then you get freaking nuked out? Like, like
Yeah,
I've been part of 4 layoffs and everyone came at the end of a
yeah,
project, right? So the whole bad side of gig economy, which is you don't have job stability. I don't have job stability anyway. I'm in the game industry, right? So
yeah. No, games and film honestly is the same way. It really is that it's
yeah,
project based. You get hired on to do a project. If that project hits, you might do a sequel, but it probably won't be you doing the sequel. You will be let go, and another team will
right,
come in because you've already laid the foundation. This is, we just
right.
saw this.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder as creators. I mean, there's got to be 20,000 people on the street right now after the past year and a half of layoffs from Microsoft and whoever else.
The mass exodus
Yeah,
of
and
games. Um,
it's like, does games need a SAG, right? Because if I'm part of
yes,
SAG-AFTRA, I do my gigs, and then if I hit a dry spell, there's a slush fund, um, and I don't lose my insurance, right? This is the other thing is that like people don't understand is like
in
in
America, yeah.
America, for all you people that don't live here, like our insurance is tied to the company we work for, or we pay out the bunghole for private insurance. And should if we unionized or became a guild or whatever. Pick your title. Like some of that could possibly be mitigated a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest union fan, but it does sound pretty nice right now that there would be some protection for game developers, for game designers. Like the industry as a whole needs something. And I know there's a couple of small ones that have started, but it's a fragmented idea. There's four or five that have four or five different
Right.
ideas. You need that Screen Actors Guild. You need that someone to come in and just say, no, we're going to run the whole
Right.
thing, and we're going to force publishers and studios to play ball. Now, I will say, you do that, you kill the indie space. Not indie, the single A.
Well, you don't, because the single A is always going to have a bunch of people coming in out of college and the new people and all that, right? And there's always the people that are just going to want to work for themselves. Nothing ever says that you have to join the union, right?
That's
and
true.
And like, for example, you and I with this project, if we don't get funded enough, right? The reality is that we might have to get a side job, right? And
Yeah.
One of the things in this industry is always like, if you work for any of the big guys, is like, don't work on a side project, don't do a blah blah blah, right? Like, if you're unionized, like a lot of that goes away, right? Because you can work on the Paramount game, but they don't care if you're doing something out of your bedroom, right?
Right. I think it would solve a couple of problems for me coming from the tech industry as a whole, because this is a tech problem,
Sure.
right? I am so tired, and I'm going to call out every company I've ever worked for here. I am so freaking tired of hearing CEOs tell me how much they care and how cool their culture is and how great their culture is and how great we're all a family, and then they can cut you in a single second, right?
Well, like
That
you brought up the respawn thing, right? Like,
yeah, on their
this is their
front
front
page,
page.
the first thing you go to their website is join the team. The
Like,
the week of
yeah,
layoffs. That is just
insulting and terrible.
ridiculously tone deaf. It sent me into a rage this morning when I saw it, because it's just like it's so true. If if you're such a family, and yet if you die they'll have somebody in your position by lunch.
Yep. And
They just don't
right.
care.
And you get like, I was, you go to all these places that you look at their website, and like they talk about their culture and whatever, and great, that's great, right? Like, I'm happy that you care about that stuff.
Sure.
It does matter to a point, but in this day and age, we've been making games for almost half a century now. I don't care, sorry, but I don't care if you have a ping pong table. I don't care if you have a foosball table. What I care about is, like, do you have good insurance? Do you pay wages fairly? Do you do overtime? They should, right? Like, these are the things that, like, you want to attract top tier talent. Oh, and I want a cut of the company too after a certain level in the hierarchy, right?
Now you're just asking for way too much
Well,
overtime and
overtime
options,
and yeah,
man.
well, or profit sharing, right?
Royalties? Go back to
Yeah.
those days? That would be great. I'd love to get my $1 check every month.
Hey man, you would get the small ones from the games that you started on in the industry, but by the time you get to where you and I are, they're not small checks anymore. Especially if
That's true.
you hit it, you have a hit, right? Like, I'm sorry, but who is the creator of Assassin's Creed? Does anybody know? Nameless
No.
Ubisoft guy number 7. I'm sure somebody out there knows. I'm just using this as an example. That guy better be a multimillionaire. And And I'm
Should
almost
be.
willing to bet he's not.
No, 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 no. He's a he makes his money just like
Yep.
we do. Um, but no, you're right. Like, and that's something that eventually, when we get this thing kicked off, that's something that I want to explore. Right? People, if your name is in the credits, you should get a
Yep.
cut. There's no reason not to. Um, there's no situation where that should be excluded. But for some reason in games, that's just not done
Nope.
anymore. It used to
Again,
be
because
in
we're
the,
actually
the
a gig economy pretending to be a studio economy.
so
Yep.
frustrating. Because like I wanna say that we're not, but it's just like, oh my god, you know, we jump from project to project, from studio to studio, job to job, and here we are.
Well,
So
now that we just brought
that's
everybody
a
down.
depressing place just to hurt. Yeah, that's a horribly depressing place to be right
Yeah.
now.
So yeah, this is some of these reasons some of the reasons that Matt and I decided we wanted to start our own gig. And
Yeah.
so we decided to do it in the worst economic climate we could possibly find. We like a
I
challenge.
like maybe like January 2009 was worse.
Maybe.
Maybe. But this is
The
close, man.
economic downturn actually wasn't bad in games, because entertainment usually is the last thing affected, right?
That's
Because
true.
everybody's like, crap, I'm unemployed, I think I'll play some games. um,
Yeah.
so we usually do okay. Economic downturn, we did great during a pandemic. We could use another pandemic in the game industry. That worked out good for us.
Yeah. Well, when there's only one thing to do, when you can't watch sports anymore, you might as well buy
Yep.
games, I guess.
Yep.
Oh, slap yourself for that one though. We don't need
Oh
another
no,
one of
we
those.
don't. I'm just being a jerk.
Uh,
So do we have any questions this week?
we have we have two. Uh, actually, I think we might have answered these before, but I'm gonna answer them anyway. What kind of game are you building, or are there multiple?
We're building
I'll let you answer that one.
a action RPG in the vein of Diablo or Path of Exile or Minecraft Dungeons. Um, and but we are a little bit more Monty Python than others. We've all done the grimdark thing to ad nauseum,
Yeah.
and that's just not who we are as people. We're kind of goofy. So we kind of want to bring that sensibility. We kind of want to make fun of our industry a little bit. We have endearing love for the '90s game, like arcade game scene, and we just kind of want to, poke at it and lovingly parody it a bit.
Yeah.
But underneath
The way I put it was, if Mel Brooks made an
right,
ARPG, right?
and
It's baseball's the game.
yeah, and underneath the covers, it's still it's still a real ARPG, right? All the usual trappings for skill enhancement and all
Yep.
that stuff, and items and all the things that you really expect. We're just and the problem that our heroes are going to have to solve is serious, but the journey is going to be a little wacky because that's kind of who we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. Exactly. Are there multiple? Yes. I am not interested in having one game done for the rest of my
Yeah.
life. I want to explore multiple genres. I want to explore multiple everything. So we always joke about game two here, and that's why, like, because there's so many options and so many things we want to do and see in that kind of voxel style.
Yeah.
Like what does a flight sim look like? What does a submarine sim look like?
Right. Yeah, I think we've said game 2 to at least 20 ideas in the past 2 months.
Yeah.
That's sort of the joke, right? Is and from my experience over the years is that you keep a folder of all these ideas that come up, and when you re-examine them, some are going to you as soon as you dig a little deeper into them, you're like, no, this isn't going to be worth it. But some rise to the top, and are actually worth doing, right? Um, so yes, there's more than one game. What's the point of doing just one game?
And then we have a question of any recordings of gameplay. Now, I want to think about this real quick because I have the quick shots of gameplay cut into a 6-second video, Chris, if you wanted to share it.
Sure, where is it?
I'm gonna make that your call. I'm gonna give it to you right now. I cut this for something else, but why not show it? I'm gonna throw it in the marketing channel.
Marketing.
Give me 1 second.
This is how you know that we're real people. We're just making this crap up as we go along.
Yeah, the pre-production meetings for this are. What do you want to talk about? Talk about stuff. Ooh, it has the sound.
Autoplay. All right, hold on. That goes there. This goes there. Okay. Let's see if this works.
6 seconds of separation. Well, if you're talking about brainwaves, I'm like 45 seconds of separation.
All right, tell me, do you see this?
Ooh, yeah.
All right, ready? Gameplay, guys. This is pre-alpha. This is just this is just us screwing around. So you'll notice that the camera angles are a little different. Motion is a little different on some of these clips. But this is
and it's cut.
Yeah. And and just so like we always talk about, now you're getting to see, some of the sausage being made here. One more time.
There you go. That's all I'm willing to share right now. But yes. So what you should be able to gather from that should be enough of kind of what our style is. If that made any sense.
Yeah, so we're top-down, isometric action RPG. We haven't locked in on the camera height or any of that stuff yet, but that's the feel, the mouth feel that we're kind of going for here. You'll also notice that I always equate everything to food, so so it's mouth feel, it's not eye candy to me.
Reaper says this looks good. Thank you, sir. It's coming along. Let's put it that way. I think we got to go through about 10 more iterations of camera and character movement and everything, but we'll get there. The frog is great. The frog reminds you of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Absolutely. I would say somewhere between the Warner Brothers Dancing Frog and like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He kind of doesn't move the way, like he's not trained. Let's put it that way. So it doesn't move quite the same as like a Ninja Turtle. More a flapping mess. that sometimes gets things done.
But as we go along here, we'll explain a bit on like, how we're separating. I hate to call them classes, but starting
Archetypes.
archetypes and how that's going to relate to the NFTs and all that stuff. Soon enough. Um,
Yeah.
It's all here. Just trying to get it all out of here into some coherent form.
Yeah. I mean, you guys should see our notes. Sometimes they're ridiculous. I go back and read documents and I'm like, what the hell was I talking about?
All the time.
Uh, there's a lot going on here. Like we're trying to build something that's manageable but meaningful, and it's an interesting balance of like sometimes you gotta scratch stuff out and say, oh, this is too much. We can't do this in the time we want to do it in. If we had 4 years to build, sure, but we don't, and I don't want to be on a project that long. That's why I started my own
Right.
thing. So it's a lot of write a great idea, scratch it out, rewrite it, scratch it out.
Yeah, and I think we're all happy with what we're on right now. Um,
Yeah.
we haven't pivoted in 3 weeks now. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. No, man, I just my biggest thing is that I am just so tired of how sweaty the RPG world is. Like, you guys, like, it's all PvP, it's all grinding, it's all fight the bad guy. I want something just a little more humorous, and so I think we're gonna start injecting a lot of that. And if you knew us at the last place, you knew that's our vibe
Right.
anyway. Some of the trailers that we made over there were just goofy
Oh,
as
the
hell.
Thanksgiving trailer is
And
still one of my the favorite things I've
yeah,
ever had a team work on.
yeah.
I play it at my Thanksgiving dinner every year.
You just you don't have to be you don't have to be serious but still be action packed. Like,
Right. Top secret, airplane, making
go watch
fun.
Hot Shots.
Right. These were our
Hot
inspirations.
Shots, man. That's my favorite.
Cows with, cowboy boots on. Right.
Thought you were about to say Cows with Guns if you know that reference. It's a classic song from maybe the I don't know how old it
Cows
is.
with guns. I don't know that one. Dead skunk
Yeah,
in the middle of the
yeah.
road is a household favorite.
It's a very Dr. Demento era song. I'll have to dig it up and throw it in the
Right.
chat.
We're big fans of Dr. Demento in this house. Big fans.
Yeah,
That was
it's classic.
that was Marcy and I's. We both didn't know each other back then, but we're connected by 1,000 miles apart by Dr. Demento on Sunday nights, 10 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
right after Dr. Ruth.
Oh, that's a different
But we
story
all
there.
learned about parody and
No,
sex on Sunday nights back in the
yeah,
'80s. That was definitely our
that
thing.
that's a lot. That's well, both will keep you laughing. All right,
It's
so
so
there you
true.
go. Uh, yeah, I don't really have anything else this
All right.
week, man. I'm kind of light on content, I guess. Next week is going to be a big announcement. We might change the time to account and get some more people in here, because it's going to be big.
Next Thursday is looking pretty good.
Next Thursday is looking. It's going to be fun. We're going to do something. Um, since we're wrapping up here, if you guys want to stick around, jump into the events after this, and I'll do a sneak peek of the trailer as I get the eyes from
No,
Chris. Don't hit me.
no, I'm psyched. Just do it.
Yeah, we'll do a sneak peek. You know, it's good for you guys to see. So we won't post it anywhere, and it'll follow all the old rules of please don't record this. But yeah,
All right. So join us on Discord. Get a sneak peek of the trailer. Tell us, and then please tell us, like, if you think it's cool, if you think it sucks. Like, we really want to know. We're all in this together, man.
I will say there's a part that's just for Tofu in there because he made a suggestion that we ended up using. So, all right, everyone. I think that's a wrap.
All right. We'll see you over there.
Chris,
see you next week.
See you later. Yep.